Welcome, where
Hosted
we,
by Zaffageek.
yeah,
Maybe you
where
should have asked me before we went live.
maybe, yeah, we, oh crap, yeah, I'm still ill and I'm smoking. Can you believe it? We have a new overlay, as you guys can see. Hello, everybody, and we are joined by Kaviex, as you can see.
Hello.
How
So,
are you doing, Kaviex?
yeah, how you doing, man?
Hey,
Not too
welcome.
bad. I am a little bit ill, which is why I'll be muting my mic occasionally to go die off screen somewhere.
Okay,
But aside from that, I'm not doing too poorly.
okay, cool, cool. How are you doing, Tooway?
I'm good. Because of the lack of sleep, I'm watching a lot of old Naruto, so I'm stuck into that series again for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch the fillers. I don't think I can do that to myself.
Again.
Yeah, but otherwise good.
Cool. And Slabwrangle, how are you doing?
Hello. Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I've been. We haven't done this in a while, have we? It's been a while since our last RambleCast, and it's almost a month now. Eh?
Yeah. RambleCast, the show where we talk about video games and anything geeky related. This episode is actually going to be massively focused on games and Blizzard. Apparently.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
gonna say
A whole lot of
apparently
Blizzard.
Blizzard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's most probably Blizz. It was BlizzCon, right? I'm the non-Blizzard fan. I don't like Blizzard anymore. I
Yeah.
only play StarCraft. But it was BlizzCon this weekend, or what? That everything
Yeah,
was
it was
released.
BlizzCon this weekend, yes.
Yeah, BlizzCon did just happen.
So that's why we have all the Blizzard news.
Yes. And what have you been up to the last Slabwrangle? Let's get to you.
Yes.
I haven't spoken to you in about a month, technically.
Yes.
I've spoken to you earlier today, but recorded wise.
Yeah, we did a quick recording earlier today, but aside from that, this last month has been crazy stupid with work. I have not been home more than 4 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
The last while. So I've been unfortunately not busy with much things geeky. I have focused a bit on my tiles, dungeon tile crafting, and playing a few games, but nothing in particular, nothing worth writing home about.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. And you, Mr. Two-Way? I mean, we've spent a lot of time together the last 4 weeks at least.
Yeah, I'm not working much at the moment. It's really quiet, so I'm just on the stream the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. So I'm just playing normal games, fitting in any game possible, which we'll talk about soon. And then also just moderating the stream. So
Yes. And then our guest. What have you been up to? Let's say the last week.
For me, it's been a relatively kind of slow week, to be honest. I haven't really done much. I've just been playing I've been keeping up with the new Binding of Isaac release. Been watching like Northern Lion and Cobalt Streak and stuff, play through that as I haven't had a chance to get it myself. Aside from that, Halloween's just been over, so I was like just quite drunk during that weekend, honestly, as most people I'm sure would be.
Yeah.
Just doing the normal thing of getting dressed as a skeleton in a hot dog costume and running around the flats of Northampton. Aside from that, not too much really. Pre-ordered Fallout 4, as I always noticed they've released the announcer pack for Dota, which I quite like to get. Yeah, that's about it really.
Yeah, my Halloween was interesting. I was slightly high on pain meds and I streamed.
It must have been fun.
It
Did
was.
you stream horror games?
No. I actually streamed with my followers, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. But I was
right.
dressed as an Amish guy. Amish the Amish. That was my character name. Amish the Amish. And that was interesting. But yeah, I've been playing games on Twitch, as you probably all know.
I can imagine.
And we'll get into the games I've been playing because it's part of my news story or my coverage that I want to do later on. And, well, without any further ado, if you've got any questions, chat, just post them and we'll try and answer them. What the hell is BO3?
I don't know, but I actually forgot about this. Bye, people on chat. I forgot to log into your Twitch channel.
What do you guys think about BO3?
BO3. Can't say I've ever heard of it.
Bob? BO3? Battle...
Oh, Black Ops 3.
Black
3.
Ops, Blops.
Yeah.
Lops.
The old Rooty Tooty point and shooty.
Yes, you talk about it. I
As a
think
spread
you might
state.
know more about it than any of
To be
us.
fair, well, I stopped playing COD roughly around probably Modern Warfare 2. Like, I played the campaigns of the ones up to the latest.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I haven't actually touched a COD for a while. I've noticed, like, I played Advanced Warfare for a while because I liked the idea of, like, the exoskeletons and jumping around and having a bit of a faster-paced combat. But once again, couldn't properly get to grips with it. Not really couldn't get to grips with it, but I just didn't find myself enjoying it as much as I did, like, Modern Warfare 2. I'm not sure if it's just because, like, people say that the format is a little bit outdated at this point. Like, they keep releasing them. Whether maybe that's the reason it's slowly getting a little bit old, or whether it's just the fact that, you know, maybe my taste in games has changed. But I can't find myself able to get into them as much as I used to.
That and you're getting older. It's a bitch, isn't it?
And I'm an old man now, apparently. At the ripe old age of 19, apparently I'm nearly dead, according to my college friends.
Yeah, no, you are... Dude, your life is over. Your life is... Get ready for slouching around, yelling at kids.
Like, I'm expecting to close those curtains at the end of the day and just stay for eternity, because I'm just in my grave right now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's essentially... Look around you. Welcome to your coffin.
It's filled with 3 other men in games.
Yes.
I always do it with them this way.
Okay.
But yeah, so in general, Black Ops 3 I haven't looked at a lot about. I've noticed more just headlines about it. Like, I know that they're trying to go with a more mobility thing. I know Nuketown is once again a pre-order bonus, because apparently that's all they can make for pre-order bonuses now. But yeah, so
Because everyone hasn't played Nuketown enough.
yeah, well, they were like, we finally made one map that apparently people really liked, so if we just release it every game, people will buy that game. So it's a flawless marketing strategy.
Yeah, okay then. So that's your answer on Blops 3, I think.
It's a bit vague when I'm not too sure on it.
So anybody want to start off the topic discussion, or should I just go down into a ramble?
You start to ramble. Yeah.
I start the ramble.
Go, you're burning time.
I'm burning time, yes. So, I'm talking about shitty horror games. Or more the fact, the topic is inspired by Jim Sterling's The Golden Sins of Horror video that he released this week. And it is essentially, he talks about how not scary modern day horror games are. And how things should be done. Like, essentially, and I've experienced it with my November Scary Month playthrough, and I stopped it mainly because of that. I would play a horror game, and I would walk around for 30 minutes to an hour without anything happening. I'll be walking around going, oh, there's a new sound that I haven't heard before. Should I be scared? Oh, there's a guy. I want to see if I can meet him, because I know if you see the guys, then if you've got the scare, you know how they look, and that's it. See the guy, he disappears. It was a scripted event. The guy disappeared. And I'm like, okay, that's amnesia for you. I'm not scared anymore. And then I went over to Outlast. Was it Outlast? Yes. And it was scary up until a point. It was like interesting. It hooked me for about 4 hours. And then afterwards, it was like, oh, come on, just let this game end. Their jump scares is not inspired. There's nothing. The good jump scare can be pulled off correctly, right? And that is my issue with it. Is the jump scares. I love jump scares. I freak the hell out with jump scares. But if you find the 17th jump scare in 2 minutes,
then it's not
They get a
scary
little bit
anymore. Can I just say
redundant,
something here?
yes,
Dear developers, jump scares and quick time events do not make horror.
there we go.
That you can't have a game where it's just jump scares and quick time events. That's not horror.
Until Dawn
that is a
begs to
waste
differ.
of my freaking time. I've got better things to do than have my heart stop every 3 seconds until it doesn't work anymore, and burn my fingers out on the keyboard trying to hold on to a ledge. Just throwing
And
that out there.
tap the button. Yeah, no, just on that, I just want to mention, and I know you're actually going to get to this board, is on the Vampire Masquerade board. Mm-hmm. That was good. Go watch
That was a good thing. Now, but you mentioned something about Until Dawn, Kaviex.
Yeah, Until Dawn. It's kind of like it's the recent thing that for about 2 weeks, like everyone was talking about, and YouTubers were playing through, like Markiplier, Cry, all people like that. And that was basically how that game worked. I mean, it was a horror game that basically worked through atmosphere, as you were saying with Amnesia, jump scares, as Mac was saying, and basically quick time events. Like it was if you're familiar with the game Heavy Rain that was released on PS3 back in like 2000 something. It's basically just a horror version of that from my perspective. It's very it's choice based. You can do what you want, but everything is the only actual interaction you have with the game is through quick time events basically and dialogue options. So. That's just how I was interjecting with that, and that itself was quite a popular game. People found problems with it.
Yeah.
Same as like they'll find problems with any game. Like I'm not even voicing an opinion saying it was a particularly good game. I found it interesting, but it itself was basically how everything people say they have problems with, yet it still seemed to be fairly popular now because it was just ambience and quick time events. But I guess it gets to the choice of if story can, like, if something's got a good enough story, can it, overlap the fact that the mechanics aren't particularly interesting. So.
Yeah, but I think it's weird. It's how much of longevity you want in your game. Because even with myself and Zaffageek play Rocket League, but to be honest, it's been a lot of fun, Zaffa, but we've slowly been playing less and less and less, and I don't think it's just a time thing. We've lost that initial interest where on the first few days it was really fun and cool, and now it's just like you want to play a little Rocket League game and then maybe 2 or 3 and then leave it.
Yeah,
so I think it's that type of thing.
Yeah, in the beginning with the Rocket League specifically was like, let's play a couple of games. 4 hours later, I think we should stop. Now it's like, let's play a couple of games. After one game, I'm done.
Bored now.
Yes, not even bored. It's just.
I've had my full.
Yes.
I've had my.
Still a good game though.
For the day.
Still a good game.
No, not gonna knock it, but that's what you should expect if you buy it. That you'll get bored moments of it. It's most probably in a month's time I'll play a whole 5-6 hours of it again.
My opinion, talking about longevity and all, is the best horror game is a one-time playthrough every maybe 1 or 2, 3 years, right? Because it's not about the mechanics, it's about the mood, it's about the aura, the essence of what you are experiencing. Do you feel threatened in your mind? Do you actually feel troubled, worried, concerned for the character that you are playing? And the best way to really experience a horror game is to look at some of the greatest horror writers of all time. They put you in a situation, or they would put the main character into a situation where death and dying are a real thing, thing to be concerned about. And I mean, if you take a look at the Hitchcock movies, right, there wasn't blood and gore. It was implied, it was implied horror. And I think that is the best part. That is what developers should start looking at. They should create a situation in which you feel powerless against whatever's going on. You give a guy a gun, he's not afraid anymore in a game, One of the best examples of this, not even a horror game, but the horror element was captured so well in Half-Life 2, Ravenholm. You couldn't see. Yeah. There was very limited batteries, recharge options for your suit, and there were no guns, and these things were coming at you all the time. You felt a serious sense of panic, fear, and claustrophobia, and that is the essence of horror. Yet when you play it over again after the first playthrough, it's not so bad. So I feel that is what a horror game should be, is to capture that essence of being powerless.
Ravenholm was that middle area, correct?
It's the one with the dark zombies, the burnt out zombies.
And you met the priest, Gordon. Was his not Gordon?
Yeah.
The priest Gordon, yes.
Gordon, I am the priest Gordon.
I had a shot in the dark. I missed.
I think it was Dmitri was his name. It was a Russian priest.
Yeah, the Russian priest Gordon.
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Let's go with that. Now, here's the one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was part of my playthrough with
Gregory,
yes.
Gregory, that's
Gordon
it.
Gregory.
That
Gregor, yes.
Did someone help you chat, or did you actually think of that?
No
I
one
Googled
helped.
it.
He Googled it. So I've been playing Vampire the Masquerade, and the infamous Ocean House scene. I don't know if you know that scene, anyone except for Tooway who's been there, and Slabwrangle, you've played the game, so you know what I'm talking about. The haunted house.
Which game?
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Right, yes. That was actually freaking creepy, I must admit. That was a really well laid out horror section.
Now, here's the thing. I was so freaked out, and this was due to brilliant sound design. There was, in that entire playthrough, maybe 3 or 4 jump scares. This is about 10 minutes of game. 20 minutes of game.
No, that was... time flew for you. That was about an hour of the thing in total.
It was an hour. Sorry, like time flew for me then.
But it was, and from a viewer perspective, it was actually fun to watch. It wasn't just like, just waiting for the jump scares. It was seeing the reactions and the changes in the house and everything was brilliant. But carry on.
Yes, and there was like 4. Okay, let's say it was an hour. There was like 4, maybe 5 jump scares at the most, where I literally jumped and like freaking whatever, and but it's a case of like there were certain parts in that haunted house, and I'm trying not to spoil it for anyone else. There were certain parts in that house where I did not want to move forward. There was a section, I remember clearly, the boiler room section. I flicked the switch and I didn't want to move after I flicked the switch because crap was happening around me. And I was afraid to like freaking until like water started spouting out and I started getting hurt. That's when I'm like, shit, I need to run now. And then I started running, But there were certain sections in that game where I'm like, no, I don't want to move anymore. Can I quit? Can I stop the stream? Can I stop playing this game?
And Vampire the Masquerade is a very old game, but it keeps up really well. I never played it because I just didn't have time for some reason at that stage in my life. Mm-hmm. And I only got reminded of it when you played it now. And it doesn't look bad. It holds up with the mythology of the series. It's really, really good. So I'm actually enjoying you streaming that. And you're going to do... How many of the different types of vampires do you think you're going to do?
I wanna... The thing is, and this is another thing, and this is actually the segue into a new segment that I want to add on the fly for this episode.
Surprise us.
Is they have all the races experience the house differently. They've got different things for all the races for the house. And then there's other parts of the storyline that is also totally different for each race, if you're a Malkavian or a Brujah or whatever. But this is the section that I want to talk about. Is what old game is better than a crappy, a newer counterpart? Let's say, for example, let's use Vampire the Masquerade and the horror section compared to Dead Space.
Okay, so you're just comparing in a genre. Okay.
Yes, compare like Vampire the Masquerade, especially the one horror section, to Dead Space, which is an entire horror game. Both are good games, but I believe the way that Vampire the Masquerade does it, and it's still, even in the game while playing it, even though I am a creature of the night and blah blah blah, blah blah blah, you know. Sorry, vampires, come on. Laugh, people. Okay, there we go. And and it's still scary in the game. It is still scary in Vampire the Masquerade outside of the horror game, because you run around and they tell you, listen, look out for werewolves, and you walk around in this town and you hear wolves howling. I haven't met a werewolf yet, but you hear wolves howling. It's like, shit. That constant tension is there. That constant fear. That's why I said, like, this is better than Dead Space. Another game. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I think one thing that goes to show is how ambience is very important in a game, but that can't be the entire thing, especially when it's a horror game. Because as you were saying back at the beginning about you spend 30 minutes without anything happening, you're out doing things in Vampire the Masquerade, but you have this constant kind of looming threat as opposed to one that might just randomly jump out at some point. You know, you hear the sounds and mystery of things that are going on around you, but you also have things that actually occupy you and keep you busy while you're doing it, so they're more just in the back of your mind, as opposed to being like, this noise is the only threat you've got to deal with now, and something might pop out, but then it might not. It might just be an illusion. Nothing happen, so there's no threat anyway. But because you've constantly got threats in or you're constantly doing something in Vampire Masquerade, the ambience actually helps to build to it as opposed to being the only factor.
And here's the other part. Slabwrangle, go on.
Again, in Vampire the Masquerade is, I'm actually surprised that this game didn't get quite as much acclaim as other games of its time, possibly because of the heavy bugs, game-breaking bugs, actually. However, there are so many scenes I can think that captured the essence of the Vampire the Masquerade game, the pen and paper thing. There's so many of the elements that capture that so well, and there are so many horror situations that you're placed in that capture the essence of a horror really well. Another scene I'm just thought of now is the graveyard. Is the dude tells you he needs 10 minutes to go do something. I can't remember what it was, but you have to look after the graveyard and take care of all the zombies that are going to rise. And
you can see him taking off his headphones. If you can hear me, Zaffa. Zaffa, I'll give you a thumbs up when you can put your headphones back on. Okay.
There we go. Yeah. No spoilers.
Just take them off. You'll finish your story and then I'll give you a thumbs up. Okay.
Oh right. So this is spoilers, right?
Yes. Because
Okay.
he's replaying the game for the first time in a long time.
Okay. Suffice it to say, let me just cut that entire thing short. I thought he'd actually played it through a couple of times. My bad.
No.
He can put his headphones back on. Suffice it to say, it creates a really tense situation in which you feel like shitting your pants.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Shitting your pants. That's what I heard.
All I said, no spoilers. All I said was it creates a really tense situation in which you literally shit your pants.
Okay. I'll wear brown pants for that stream.
Or just do your bowel movements before you go live.
Yeah. Or just don't stand up.
Okay, now let's do. I wanna do another thing. Let's do RPG games and RPG games. Vampire the Masquerade. This is basically what you said earlier, Kaviex, about you're busy the whole time, and these sounds work with you and everything. In Vampire the Masquerade, I mean, if I look at Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, after a while, I was like, oh, really, do I have to go do this now for that person over there? In Vampire the Masquerade, it was a case of like, oh, you want me to do this? Yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. Because I want to see what's going on here. And then you come back and the story changes like, what? Okay, cool. You never feel like you're on a side quest. Even though most of those things are called side quests if you look in your journal.
Logbook.
In your logbook. It's still called like side quest, do this. They tell you the main story, but it's like, this is a side quest. But I never once, so far in my playthrough, have gotten the feeling of, ugh, side quests.
A side quest.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think the main problem is nowadays, because as people are just going, this is a horror game or this is that, a lot of games were more meshed up in that era, say 97 to 2005-ish, in that era. You would get a lot of games that combined a lot more and tried different things, where they did RPG horror or RPG with adventure elements and stuff like that, where they could get away with it, where after the console wars started and those things became part of game culture, I'm again not blaming console gamers, but it just feels like a lot of their stuff stuck. It's like QuickTime events that came out of I think just at the beginning PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Not sure on that, but I think so. And everybody's using that now because everybody is used to that. They know if they put it in the game, the player will know what to do. They don't want to put uncertainties. They don't want to go past that point anymore. I think it's like, what do people understand and will find semi-fun to do?
I think the first QuickTime event game was God of War.
No, before that, Soul Calibur. If you're playing story mode, there were certain situations, if you got the QuickTime right, you would not start the fight with a disadvantage. If you got it wrong, you started it with a very heavy disadvantage. I think Soul Calibur 3, Soul Calibur 2. Long time ago.
Okay, cool. Didn't know that. And then, well, I'm gonna mention one more game that's better than its newer counterparts, and it is Stalker. Is better than any of the Far Cries out there.
Yeah.
That's how far, in my opinion. This is an opinion piece, okay? Because Stalker was... It's better in the sense of it doesn't feel like it's an open world game, but it doesn't feel as open world as Far Cry. You know, Far Cry is like, okay, you've escaped the bad guy, or you've done this. Now go out into the world and go explore towers.
Yeah,
and I'll be like,
sorry, continue.
Sorry, now all I wanted to say regarding that is Far Cry created an illusion of an open world. Is even though the maps were huge, there were very specific paths that you could travel. There wasn't this go anywhere, do anything. It was massive map. You can go anywhere as long as you stay on the path. So yeah, I agree with you. Far Cry wasn't that. Was okay, I guess.
And this brings into the simple design concept that made Deus Ex 1 such a popular game. Is Deus Ex 1 has linear storyline, like linear maps. They put you on a map and say, this is the objective.
Yeah.
In that map, you can interact with 95% of the objects in that map. You can pick up a trash bag and throw it into the ocean if you want to.
Yeah.
You can go guns blazing and still complete the mission. You can do it all stealth. And this is what Vampire the Masquerade... It gives you the illusion that the world is bigger than what you're actually playing.
Yeah.
And this is what Vampire the Masquerade is also doing. Yeah. Yeah,
and that was the great thing of working with limitations. They had to find ways around that to make the world feel that big. The hardware is at that stage now where you can make the world big. Like a small article I saw is there's a guy trying to walk through Fallout 4 now, trying to measure how large the world is. he's doing a walkthrough.
Yeah, I also saw
No.
that. I think another thing that comes into it is it can't just having a big world is good, but it doesn't matter if there's nothing to actually fill the world. Like
Yeah.
having just a completely empty plane isn't an interesting to walk around. You know, the reason why Deus Ex did it quite well, while there was quite small maps, it is because the maps were well thought out and you had choice in what you did. It wasn't just the world isn't big because you spend 15 minutes walking between each quest. The world is big and interesting because you spend 15 minutes walking 15 feet. You know, because
Yeah.
you're actually thinking about what you're doing. There's things in the way, there's obstacles, there's choices, there's
And-
things to interact with, which is a problem I found with Far Cry 4, which is why I didn't find it particularly interesting. Which is when you just finish the prologue of the game and are actually set free, you kind of like you get a bunch of things on your map and you just walk between them, like and there's nothing between the 2 points. You just idly walk there. Maybe you'll have a guy drive past you in a car you can hijack or gun down or avoid or whatever you want to do there. But that's about the epitome of the choices you get. And then when you get to the things, they're content. But between it, that you might as well cut out the roads in the middle because there's no actual content there.
Yeah.
It's just walking for the
Not
sake of walking.
interesting. Yeah.
It's like Draken said on chat. With Skyrim is exactly the same.
Skyrim's the worst for it.
Skyrim, you go there, the intro starts, you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be
Yeah.
amazing. You're set free or whatever, and it's like, so I can go anywhere. And I remember this, one of my friends saw me play the game, and I was like somewhere on a mountain in Skyrim way back when it got released. And he looked at the game and he's like, is this game about depression? Because you're all alone on this mountaintop looking over this beautiful world. And he's like, and I hear the music in the game and it's really sad music. Is this game like, is one of the aspects of this game depression? And I'm like,
Emotional downfall simulator.
and I'm like, no, this is what you do in the game. He's like, oh, but why are you alone? I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna get depressed now. And then my character basically jumped off the mountain, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm done.
The character did.
My character, yes. And the another thing that also like that I saw in Vampire the Masquerade, and I didn't actually acknowledge it in the game. You walk around. It's a map. It's a building. You walk on the outside of this building, and to the side you see the rest of the town or the city, Hollywood, L.A. I think, and the background of the city was actually you could see lights of cars driving around.
That was cool.
Just to have like an effect of the city is still alive, even though it's just you can see it's like
it's a backdrop.
It's a backdrop, but there's lights moving, and the idea of a bigger world
Yeah.
is sometimes
It
better
adds-
than a bigger world. I think.
It adds life into the world, which is
Yeah.
one thing that people seem to forget in the sandbox games now. No, there's actually things that are happening that aren't directly in front of you, which most things now don't bother putting in.
I think I have a good idea for a new format though, for our thing. I think the first hour we do the stories, and then the second part after we take the small break, we just call old men bitching and moaning.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think-
Old men bitching and
Featuring
moaning.
young man bitching and moaning.
No, you're an old man. You're in your coffin, buddy. You're in your
Oh
coffin.
yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, Kaviex, I've known you for 5 years now. At
You're
least,
dead.
So
You're dead, man. Yeah, we better not bitch and moan. But now to tie into the Vampire the Masquerade thing. Those of you who don't know, Paradox has bought all the assets and the licensing rights of Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness from CCP, the guys from EVE Online. So that means they've gotten all the assets of their potential MMO for World of Darkness, and they've got the rights of publishing it. Now, nothing much other than that has been released. During the stream, one of the guys from Onyx Path Publishing, the community manager, came into the stream and he's like, we don't know what's going on, we're waiting for Paradox to sort this stuff out. And it's like, okay, cool. You know, this is actually happening.
Yeah, he was more like, I just want to enjoy watching you play the game, and I'll answer questions on anything else, but that's basically under NDA, and I'm sick and tired of answering
Yeah.
questions on that, so I'm hiding away on your stream. So that was anyway cool to have him there. I learned a lot from him anyway. His knowledge
Yes.
was quite good.
Yeah, he freaked me out on some of his theories in the game. But yeah, so what do you guys think about Paradox buying the rights? Do you know anything about the company, Paradox itself?
Can't say that.
What did they do previously? I remember the name.
Most recently was Pillars of Eternity.
Oh.
Okay, yeah,
Wow, okay.
that's not a bad game at all. So if they do that same type of setting and do it for Vampire Masquerade, I think they'll pull it off quite well.
The other thing is, and Total Biscuit mentioned it in one of his in the podcast this week, and it is true. Paradox releases games for a niche market. They've got the
Yes.
City Skylines. They had their hands in there. Like, they had something to do with City Skylines. They've got, like, the grand strategy games. It's like a niche, a select group of people that love these games. That's what they go for. And I believe, I really want to, I believe and I really hope that they actually pull this one through.
Yeah, of course. If we're talking about they just bought the rights, which means that I don't know if they would have started development before knowing they would get the rights from CCP. So if they only started now, we might only see it in 2 or 3 years, which is such a long way away. But everything feels like that. I think when they said the new, well, if you think the last expansion now, Legacy of the Void, when the game was released and it was planned for 2015, I was like, how the fuck do you stretch StarCraft over 6 or 7 years? And we're there, so
Yeah.
time flies. And I don't know.
Eventually.
Yeah. Something I just quickly wanted to mention. I'm going to interrupt your story just because it's still on Vampire the Masquerade and answer one of Mac's questions. Why it didn't get as many accolades as it should have? It released on the same day as Half-Life 2. And Half-Life 2 was using a better version of the Source 2 engine than Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay, well, there you have it.
Yeah, that is, and the guy from Onyx Path Publishing also said, like, it's a pity this game got released on the same day as Half-Life 2. It's like, yeah, it is. And it is a cult classic. Guys, if you haven't gotten Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines yet, go and get it.
It's
You will-
totally
Because
worth
it should be really cheap.
It's like it's $19, eh?
And they fixed most
They
of the
might be
bugs.
able
So.
to wait for December and get it on Steam sale.
Yes, it's always on sale. And that is essentially that. Talking about CCP, I just want to mention, yes.
I was just gonna one more of those games that are better then than they are now is CRPGs. Baldur's Gate series was a hell of a lot better overall than the Neverwinter Nights.
Disagree.
Particularly Neverwinter Nights 2. I felt incredibly pigeonholed, incredibly linear in Neverwinter Nights 2.
Yeah, for me, the stories between the two both were fine. I think I was caught up in that I actually enjoyed Neverwinter moving over to the third ed rule set. Because by that time I was so used to it. Played Baldur's Gate 1, enjoyed it. Then Neverwinter 1 came out and Baldur's Gate 2. And I basically just got Neverwinter because it was on the new rule set. And that's why I stick to that series. But I think that's the only thing that got me to go in there, to that side of the franchise, rather enjoying Neverwinter than Baldur's Gate, was basically just the rule sets they used. But
The rule set is definitely better. The rule set of 3rd edition rule set is a lot better than 2nd ed. I will admit that. But look, Neverwinter Nights 1 was still cool. But what I didn't like was the fact that you had to go where they told you to go. And in Baldur's Gate, that was never an issue. It was, okay, so your father's dead. Figure it out for yourself, bitch. Whereas in Neverwinter Nights, they held your hand through the entire freaking game.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was different pathways. I think Neverwinter at that stage was already following more of a EverQuest model, where it's like you get a quest, you finish that quest giver's quests, then you move to the next quest giver. Baldur's Gate was still following the D&D way of doing things, where they just give you information, do something with it. And so in that sense, I'll agree with you. But at that stage, I wasn't sick of doing the quest giver to quest giver thing again. If I would go back now, I would most probably berate Neverwinter like nothing. But as for when I played it back then, it was fine for me because I wasn't so bored of running from quest giver to new town to monster encounter to building your own castle and that port bugging out completely.
Yeah. The freaking castle could have been amazing, but it was put together like my ass.
Now, while we're still talking about the CCP thing, or it's still saying now discussing, as you can see upstairs, up there, Paradox upstairs, buying World of Darkness from CCP, EVE Online brought in a thing called Broadcast for Reps. And essentially, it is a service in the community, in EVE itself. You go to the chat room, and if you ever have suicidal thoughts, you go to that chat room and you can talk to people. And you can...
They're not professionals. Just have to iterate that. They're not professionals.
Yes, they aren't
They're
professionals.
fellow gamers. But fellow gamers who care for you.
Yes. So, but because most of the guys... I mean, I've had personal experiences, close friends of mine, friend of mine committed suicide last year, and most of the time it's just him or them needing someone to talk to. And being an EVE is an unforgiving game. Like, you go into EVE to punish yourself, definitely, right? And what's interesting, it's a good concept. I love it. I love the fact that you play in an online game and you're not feeling that well today. Go to a room called Broadcast for Reps and you talk to people there about your shitty day, right? About how you feel and your thoughts and whatever. And they're there just to listen. It's a really, really brilliant concept. And what I want to know is what brought about the implementation of this thing. Because I can't seem to find any information. One of the players in the video, a player killed himself, and
death by suicide, and that instigated the whole thing to start. It's interesting, but was he like the first lost linchpin,
or was he the straw that broke the camel's back that made CCP and the community decide to do this? I don't know. I have no information other than what this program is.
And what the YouTube video
says, yes.
But it's a cool idea.
I think it's a good idea. There's been a lot of back in the days when MMOs were early. I don't know if this is true or confirmed or unconfirmed. It's just I heard this back then when MMO just started going, that in Japan the suicide rate had skyrocketed.
It was a big story. It's true.
Yeah, so I wonder if that isn't a factor.
Yeah, but that's years ago, and I do think CCP is doing this for their community, because
no, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to badmouth it. I'm just saying.
we're just trying to find out the cause,
Yes.
why this was started, because it was just interesting, and myself and Zaffa were talking about it yesterday, and we just got down to, was this the first time, and they wanted to make sure it doesn't happen again, and they're just really proactive in that way, or was this, say, the 20th suicide of a gamer playing Eve that people ignored, and now it's become a big issue for them, where they're not going to be known as just the ganking game where you lose all your shit, but also where people kill themselves because of the game,
Yeah.
because that gives them a serious bad reputation. So I don't know on which side it leans, but we were just interested in it.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
I guess you can view it from a perspective of no matter really the cause for it, it makes them look better, but it also helps the gamers side of it for the people that do struggle with this, with depression and things like that. So I guess it's kind of a situation of the cause may probably never be released because they're not going to say,
no.
"Oh yeah, we released this channel to make our company look better." They're not going to say that. They will probably say we did it to help the games, and maybe they genuinely did. There's no way to prove it that they did or didn't. But I do think something like that is quite useful to have in a server, because let's face it, a lot of the online community isn't particularly supportive of people.
That's putting it lightly, really lightly.
You know, I've had bad days, and then I've gone to play like Dota or something, and the first thing I get when I enter a game is I've done nothing wrong. I literally haven't spoken in chat, and the first thing I'll get is 3 people saying I should kill myself, and they're all going to report me because I picked a champion they didn't like, right? So in general, people aren't very nice on the internet. Some people can shrug it off. Like I can shrug it off. It's fine. I just mute them or laugh at them, whatever, gets you through the game.
Yeah.
Some people, on the other hand, can't handle that as well. They do. They take it personally.
Yeah,
and
a lot
those are the people that I think because if you're taking things people say to the internet on you who don't know you personally, then having the ability to talk to essentially the same people, obviously using it vaguely because people in these chats aren't going to be the same people as the one that it would insult you in a game of Dota or League or COD or whatever. But having the ability to talk to essentially the same community and having the positive feedback from them instead of the negative you're used to getting, I can imagine it'd be quite good for someone in that situation.
Yeah, the thing is, I want to believe that because it's CCP, they're from, where are they from? Sweden?
No.
That's Paradox.
Iceland.
Iceland. If I remember correctly, I haven't played Eve in like 4 or 5 years, but I think it was
yes, they're in Iceland.
They're in Iceland. Those kind of people, like, usually they have good intentions. And that's probably, I want to believe that they did this because this might have been the first guy that committed suicide. Might not have been related to anything in the game, but he committed suicide and they like, no, let's just fucking stop this right now. You know?
Yeah.
But it's good. I love gaming communities coming together like this and showing their support for something that is... Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. But
yeah,
I just have to play devil's advocate with Eve because I know what's going to happen. Someone's going to have an account that they go into that channel and help people with. And then they're going to have 5 troll accounts to berate that person as well.
Yeah, they will.
That is so going to happen in that as well.
That's definitely... that will happen in Eve. That can happen. That
would
is
be so
thing.
Easy to do.
Yeah.
Like you go back and you have people like it doesn't take a lot for people on the internet to go a little bit out of their way to try to ruin someone's life. Like you look at, say for example, when swatting was a thing a while ago, that single-handedly like can screw people up when police come bursting through your doors. And all it was is just because someone decided to just ring them just to be a cock, really. There was no other reason for it, but that at least, there's some risk attached to that because it's an illegal thing. But people just going in a chat room and talking to people and demeaning them, that is so easy to do. And there isn't any legal implications of that either, really. So people are going to do it.
So no, that was just my devil's advocate on their plan, because I hope they just have a system in place on who
I
they
believe, I
allow to
believe, I
actually-
believe, I believe they have like a broadcast for reps. So it's basically representatives. So I
Yeah,
believe
no,
they
no,
will have
it's-
like people going in there, and they are the only guys in that channel. And they message you, because the system essentially is you message one of them and like, listen, I want to talk, and then they private message you. So I think it's probably higher ups. Or,
Yeah, but in the video they also mention you can just talk in that room as a public space where people are willing to listen to your problems, or you can request that someone talks to you one-on-one.
yeah.
So I'm just thinking about the people who will go into the public room and just voice, I've had a bad day, and you guys, and then he basically just lists off everybody who has had a bad day. And he's like, I'll see you guys.
My bad, sorry.
So you just get into a competition of people just comparing how shit their lives are in that room, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I've had a worse day. Listen to me first.
Well, the thing is, I don't think it will be like that, because the Eve community is a bit more mature than your average. A bit. I said a bit than your average gaming community.
They're strangely mature. When you talk to a guy on TeamSpeak or whatever for Eve, it's an older guy, because back when it was shown that it was the average age of like 27 to 31 playing the game. So in that sense, they're more mature. But then if they get you in space, it's a different story. That's over no holds barred. You're dead.
Yeah.
No matter how nice the guy is. No, when I was corp leader for us, like eons ago, I would have conversations with our enemies to get the wars like annulled. And they would be the friendliest guys on TeamSpeak and everything. And okay, guys, everything is fine now. And then one of the noobs just screws up and goes after one of their guys that he cannot take on at all. And we're at war again. I'm like, fuck.
Damn it.
So no, that's a weird thing about that community. They're mature. If you talk to them in a space where you can actually hear each other's voices, they find nice people. But if you're in space, and on just texture chat, it's a
crazy.
lot of other things.
Yes. But I think that is about time for a quick 10-minute break, guys. We have basically just talked about White Wolf and CCP. And
Yeah, but see, that's why I say we should break this up into two sections where we start with the news and then we go to this part.
Yes.
Then I think that will work really well. Then we can just moan for an hour, and if we need to moan longer, we can.
Yes.
So when you come back, it will be news stories.
it will be news stories. This was just us moaning. Okay, next time we reverse it, right?
Yeah.
News stories and then moaning. Damn
Yes.
kids! Damn kids! Okay, guys. See you guys in a couple of
In
minutes.
about
In about
10
10 minutes.
minutes, yeah.
Yes, 10 minutes.
Cool.
Cool.
Sure.